Hi, this is Lisa Allen, and in this video we'll go into what an effective co-citation feed needs to contain in order for you to get the max result. Now, as I mentioned in the first video, while you can easily implement co-citation as an SEO strategy using PBNs or Web 2.0 sites, doing it that way will require writing many articles and a lot of time posting and creating a lot of content to have much impact. Now, another easier, faster method is to use syndication or RSS feeds to create what I call living co-citations or living co-citation streams, where one or more pieces of your own content consistently appears next to content from authority sites. Now, the benefits of using RSS feeds instead of or in addition to articles for co-citation. Number one would be content freshness. Now, as you know, Google really loves fresh content, and over time, articles will lose their punch as Google indexes and spotlights newer content. But RSS feeds will constantly change over time with new content in them, which keeps them fresh and keeps search engines coming back to re-index frequently. Now, the second benefit to using RSS feeds instead of articles for co-citation is the speed with which you can create those co-citations. It's simply much faster to just find some related high-ranking websites that have RSS feeds to include in a co-citation feed than to write and post new articles. Now, another benefit is the reduced content creation costs. Now, when you're using the article method to carry your co-citations, you're obviously either writing the articles yourself or you're paying somebody to write them. And so that's an extra step and an extra expense. When you're doing RSS feeds, you actually don't need to create any content to target your own content that you're trying to rank. So that really reduces your content creation costs. Now, another benefit is that feeds are not penalized by Google. With a lot of other methods where you might be creating backlinks and things like that, you have to be really careful these days because Google has gotten really smart and they have decided to penalize a lot of those things. But with an RSS feed is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. The RSS standard was created as a way of publicizing and spreading knowledge of articles. So when you are using an RSS feed, that is something that Google has never ever penalized and is unlikely to do so in the future. So let's go into what actually is contained in an effective co-citation feed, and I'll kind of explain these here. This is a co-citation feed. You can see the outer container. This is a feed, and each of these come from different places. So this is the piece of content that you want to rank. So a link to this piece of content and a little summary should always be present here in the feed. And it can move around a little bit, it can be in a different spot, it doesn't have to be at the top. Then also you would want to include your own website feed. And the reason for that is that having other items in there that change makes it so this item doesn't stand out quite so much and isn't quite so obvious. And so you kind of want to do a little bit of camouflaging there just so that there's enough content there from this website or your website to make this look interesting and look like it belongs in the feed. Now here are the authority sites, and generally you want about 3. Now I've had people ask, should we do more? Should we do less? Can I have more than 3? The reason we pick 3 is that there is enough there for there to be constant changes in the feed coming from the articles that are published on these other authority sites, but not so much to swamp your content that you want Google to be paying attention to here. And so we generally choose the feeds from 3 authority sites that are ranking highly for keywords that is related to this post. And so it's not the general overall keyword of your whole site, but to this particular page post. This can also be a video. And so you just want sites that rank highly for those keywords that you're targeting for that. Now also another optional component that you can put in here. Now I mentioned that this stays in the feed all the time. We call that a static item or a sticky item. Now you can also add a couple of other sticky items in there. Now a lot of government websites do not have RSS feeds, or they may not have RSS feeds. So you can't really include them as part of your authorities, but you can include them as other static or sticky items in here. So what you would want to do is find a highly ranked page from a .gov domain and a highly ranked page from a .edu domain, and you include those links in the feed as well. So you've got an additional little bit of authority being pumped from official sites. Now these kinds of sites obviously are really difficult to get backlinks on, and so this is an alternate way of associating yourself by being mentioned in the same feed without having to even get permission or get a backlink from them, and so it's really effective. So let's just move forward a little bit here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about those items just briefly, just so that so that you understand everything that we've just looked at on the diagram. So your targeted page or URL or your video, these can be pretty much anything. Now in the old version of RSS Authority Sniper, the only way you could do it is if there was a single post feed that was available. WordPress had that available, YouTube had that available, and Blogger had that available. But beyond that, you generally didn't see a single post feed available, and so the technique was limited to just those sites. Now YouTube no longer has that available since they changed out the old API, and so when we built our rank feeder service to do this, we made it so that you could include a web page, a URL from absolutely anywhere, and it would be fine. So this is the piece of content that you want to receive the authority boost and the co-citation juice from the other authorities. So that always stays in the feed for long-term effectiveness. Of course, we mentioned your website RSS feed. Now I wanted to mention one other thing. If your website has no feed of its own, then it's fine to use a content feed from, say, your YouTube channel or other branded Web 2.0 site that might have a feed that still points back to your content in some way. And so that's a good substitute if your website doesn't have a feed or the software can't find a feed for that. You can use some alternates there. And of course we mentioned the 3 authority website feeds, and so these are feeds that change as new content is published on these authority websites, and this is part of what keeps the feed fresh and keeps giving you new co-citations where you're being mentioned alongside these authorities in different ways constantly. And so that makes it so that Google stays interested in the feed and keeps coming back to index it, because it keeps getting rewarded with new content, which is one of the things that it loves. And then we mentioned the optional co-citation sandwich, which you can add in there where you're adding a couple more sticky or static URLs. So those are URLs that stay in the feed also. Is one page from a .gov, one page from a .edu, and as I mentioned earlier, they should be ranked highly for the keywords that you're going after for that particular feed. So here is how to find those pages if you want to add those and use those as part of your feed. You go to Google and enter the following in Google search: site, and then .gov, a space, and then the keyword that you're looking for. So if I was doing a feed that was about SEO, I would go and type in site.gov, site:.gov, and then SEO. You don't need these angle brackets. I just put that there to show you where to replace with your keyword. And then edu is very similar, site:.edu, and then your keyword. And that is how you find the pages that you can include in your feed, so that you also have the influence from .gov and .edu sites being channeled towards your content. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of this. We were doing this since about 2013 with the version 1 of RSS Authority Sniper, which at that time used Yahoo Pipes. Now Yahoo Pipes was closed last year in 2015. As September they actually closed down, and we went through about 50 different feed services. I went through all of the ones that I could find. I had customers sending me in potential ones to evaluate, and so I really went and looked very seriously at the capabilities of each of the different feed feed aggregators that I could find that would actually have the ability to combine feeds, and none of them had all of the features that were needed in order to do this and have this last long term. And so that's why we went ahead and built Rank Feeder, is to replace pipes and make it so that co-citation feeds could continue to be used and be used by RSS Authority Sniper. So out of all of the feed services that we've looked at, Yahoo Pipes was the one that worked before it closed, and Rank Feeder is the only one that works with this strategy now. And so that's why it was built, was to make this possible. So that's it for this video on what is needed to be in a effective co-citation feed. I hope you understand now what we're doing as we work through the software, and following this video there will be a bunch of videos about how to actually use the software to create these, and then do a little bit more publication and boost the effect a little bit more even. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.